Have you ever wondered whether what you're searching for has been quietly here all along? Like a soft breeze brushing past your skin, impossible to hold, yet always present. Sometimes, when we finally pause, when we soften just a little, we realize there was never anywhere to go. When we believe that awakening exists somewhere, out there, or far ahead in the distant future, we unknowingly overlook the simple, peaceful awareness that is reading these words right now. This gentle consciousness that witnesses thoughts and emotions, without being confined by them. Like the moon reflected on the surface of still water, present, luminous, yet untouched. Perhaps you have felt this too. Moments when you find yourself chasing insights, reaching for peace, trying so hard to enter that perfect state of mind, only to feel it slipping just beyond reach. And yet, it is that very grasping, that subtle effort, that blinds us from noticing a simple truth. The awareness that seeks is the very thing being sought. This doesn't mean abandoning practice or walking away from your inner work. Kayano's years of discipline created the space for her realization to bloom. But the teaching invites a new relationship with practice, one where we show up wholeheartedly, while holding expectations lightly. The way you might carry a bowl of water, knowing a single tilt could let it spill. Devoted, yet soft. Zen Master Bank expressed this understanding when he said, "The unborn is the Buddha mind itself." When this is realized, the Buddha mind you carried from birth has been doing its quiet work, from the very beginning. What we seek through meditation, therapy, or inner growth, is simply the recognition of what has never been absent. In the story of water and moon, this truth appears as the illusion of separation. The seeker and the sought. The ordinary mind and the awakened mind. As long as we believe these are different, that the moon floats separately from the water, we cling to spiritual experiences, trying to protect them, preserve them, keep them safe in a container we fear might break. But when the container does break, we discover the separation was never real. This teaching extends far beyond formal practice. It touches every area where we chase happiness, success, or fulfillment as though they were objects to hold. The perfect relationship, the ideal job, the peaceful mind. So often, we grasp at these reflections without realizing their essence already lives within our capacity to yearn for them, to recognize them, to feel drawn to them. In Zen, we learn to trust the natural unfolding of our path, instead of forcing insights or demanding certain experiences. Sometimes the deepest understanding arrives the moment we stop trying to understand. When we let the bottom fall out of our container, letting the spiritual images we built so carefully dissolve into the quiet night. The Buddha taught, "The one who has conquered himself is greater than he who conquers 1,000 men." The victory Kayano discovered was not the defeat of ignorance, but the realization that the battle itself was a misunderstanding. And tonight, as you rest here, breathing softly, can you imagine how it would feel to let the bottom fall out of your own spiritual container? What might happen if you stopped trying to hold on to insights, and instead trusted the natural wisdom that has been guiding your search all along? As the Buddha reminded us, within you lies a stillness, a sanctuary, a place you can return to at any moment and simply be yourself. Perhaps what we have been seeking has been looking through our eyes all along. Now, let us turn gently toward a new story. A story about discovering our true worth through the eyes of someone who can truly see us. The value of a diamond. One peaceful afternoon, a young student was walking along a quiet riverbank, when something glimmering among the smooth stones caught his eye. Reaching down toward the cool riverbank, The young student lifted a stone that immediately captured his attention. An unusually beautiful piece, larger than his closed fist, with a crystalline structure that shimmered and fractured the sunlight in delicate, surprising ways. He didn't quite know what it was, but something in its quiet glow, in the way it held the light as if whispering a secret, suggested it might be more than just another smooth river rock. Curious and slightly bewildered by his discovery, the student carried the stone to his Zen master. "Master," he said softly, bowing with respect, the stone cradled carefully in both hands. "I found this by the river. I'm not sure what it is, or whether it has any value at all. Perhaps it's nothing, perhaps it's just an ordinary stone." The master examined it only briefly, turning it over in his weathered, calloused hands. His face revealed nothing, though his eyes seemed to carry a quiet knowing. Without revealing anything he might have suspected, he looked at his student and said gently, "Go to the marketplace. Ask the people what they believe this stone is worth. But remember this well, whatever anyone offers you, do not sell it. Simply learn what they would pay, and return to me." Obeying his master's instructions, the student walked to the bustling heart of town, a lively marketplace filled with bright colors, echoing voices, and the fragrance of ripe fruit. His first stop was at a cheerful orange vendor with a cart overflowing in warm, golden piles of fresh oranges. "Excuse me," the student said politely, holding out the stone. "Could you tell me what you think this might be worth?" The merchant glanced at the stone with only casual interest. To him, it was nothing more than a pretty rock with an unusual sparkle. "Well," he said after a brief pause, "it's certainly larger and nicer looking than most stones I've seen. I'd give you 10 oranges for it." "That sounds like a fair trade." The student bowed in thanks and continued deeper into the market. His next stop was a woman selling vegetables, her stall overflowing with fresh greens, earthy roots, and produce gathered from nearby farms. He held the stone toward her. "What do you think this might be worth?" he asked. The vegetable seller examined it more carefully than the orange vendor had. She noticed the stone's clarity, its heaviness, the way it seemed almost too refined for something found by a river. "This is quite a lovely specimen," she said thoughtfully. "For something this unique, I would offer you a whole sack of my best potatoes. It would feed you for many weeks." The student thanked her just as respectfully and moved on. Finally, he sought out a goldsmith, a man known throughout the region for his delicate work with precious metals and rare gems. Surely someone who worked with true value every day would understand what he had found. The goldsmith took the stone slowly, reverently, as if sensing its significance. He lifted it to the light, rotating it with practiced precision. He studied the internal structure, felt its weight, examined each small facet with an expert's eye. Gradually, his expression shifted, from focus, to recognition, to unmistakable excitement. "My boy," he said, voice brimming with awe. "This is no ordinary stone. This is a rare and extraordinarily valuable gem." He drew in a breath, then continued with rising enthusiasm. "I will give you 500 gold coins for it. Enough for you to live comfortably for many, many years." Stunned by this dramatic leap in value, the student felt his heart race. But he remembered his master's words. And with quiet humility, he declined even this extraordinary offer. At last, the young student sought out the most respected jeweler in the entire city, an elderly master whose reputation stretched far beyond the marketplace. He was known for his unmatched expertise with the rarest stones, a man who had served nobles, wealthy merchants, and even royalty. Throughout his lifetime, he had handled treasures that once belonged to kings and queens. His knowledge was considered so refined, so exact, that no one questioned his judgment. The jeweler accepted the stone with both hands, almost ceremonially, as though he instinctively sensed its importance. He lifted it toward the sunlight that streamed through his shop window, a warm golden beam illuminating every surface. Slowly, patiently, he turned the stone, examining each facet, every hidden angle, every glimmer of internal fire. What began as professional scrutiny gradually softened into something much deeper, a growing awe, a reverence only true mastery can feel. After several long minutes, he placed the stone with great care onto a soft velvet cloth. Then he lifted his gaze to the student, eyes full of wonder and respect. "Young man," he said gently, his voice almost trembling, "where did you come across this extraordinary treasure? This is not simply a stone. It is one of the most magnificent diamonds I have seen in my entire life." He paused, letting the truth settle in the quiet air between them. "It is absolutely priceless. I could never afford to buy it, not even if I sold everything I owned. My shop, my home, every possession I have. Nothing would come close to the value of what you hold." The student stood speechless, overwhelmed by the jeweler's words, unsure how to reconcile the vast differences in what he had been told throughout the day. When he returned to his master, he recounted every detail: the 10 oranges, the sack of potatoes, the 500 gold coins, and finally, the recognition of a priceless diamond. Confusion, surprise, and wonder all tangled together in his voice. The Zen master listened quietly, a gentle, knowing smile playing at the corners of his lips. "You see," the master said softly, "the orange merchant and the vegetable seller saw only an interesting rock. Because that was the limit of their perception, the boundary of what they understood." He folded his hands calmly. The goldsmith recognized its material value because he had the knowledge to identify precious stones. But only the master jeweler could see its true, immeasurable worth, because he possessed the deepest understanding and the most refined perception. The master paused here, allowing the words to sink in. Then, looking directly into the student's eyes with deep compassion, he continued, "Your life is like that diamond. You may choose to see yourself as having little value, just as the first merchants did. You may see some of your worth, like the goldsmith. Or, you can awaken to the truth that you are absolutely priceless." As the master jeweler recognized, he spoke slowly, each word gentle and deliberate. "How you value yourself depends entirely on the quality of perception you bring when looking at your own life." The master's voice softened even more. "The Buddha once said, if we could see the miracle of a single flower clearly, our whole life would change." This teaching speaks deeply to how we perceive not only the world around us, but also the quiet, luminous presence we carry within ourselves. What emerges from this story is a profound truth. That value is shaped by perception, and clarity of vision determines our ability to recognize what is precious. The diamond's worth never changed, only the level of understanding each person brought when they looked at it. And so often, we undervalue ourselves because we are seeing through the eyes of those who cannot truly see us. We seek validation from people who, like the orange merchant, notice only surface appearances or practical usefulness. Or we feel satisfied when someone appreciates our external achievements, like the goldsmith did, unaware that our deepest worth goes far beyond anything that can be measured or traded. Why, then, Is it so difficult for us to recognize our own priceless nature? We are often taught, quietly, subtly, and from a very young age, to measure our worth through external metrics. Our productivity, our achievements, our social standing, our ability to meet expectations that may not even be our own. These measurements aren't entirely without meaning, but they are limited, like looking at a brilliant diamond and seeing only how many oranges it might buy. Consider how this teaching reflects in your own relationship with yourself. Do you sometimes weigh your value based on how well you perform at work? Or how you appear to others? Or whether your relationships look the way you hoped? Or how much money you've managed to gather? These things matter in a practical sense. The way the goldsmith's valuation was not wrong. But they are only partial reflections. Real, but small, compared to your inherent, immeasurable worth. The levels of perception in the story also reveal something tender about human longing. We often seek recognition from people who simply do not have the capacity to see us clearly. And when they don't appreciate our efforts, when they misunderstand us, when they fail to recognize the depth of our contribution, we feel hurt, confused, disappointed. But perhaps what we're really doing is asking the orange merchant to recognize a diamond. This doesn't mean ignoring feedback or inflating our sense of importance. It means cultivating discernment, learning to understand who is capable of seeing with clarity and who is not. The master jeweler's recognition mattered precisely because it came from deep knowledge, from a lifetime of refined perception. Zen teacher Dogen wrote, "To study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self." Through practice, through reflection, through gentle inner honesty, we begin to see ourselves more clearly, moving from the orange merchant's shallow glance toward the master jeweler's vision. And this teaching extends, beautifully, to how we see others. When our perception is limited, we notice only surface details. Their roles, their flaws, their outer presentation. But as our perception grows more refined, as we learn to look with the jeweler's depth of attention, we begin to glimpse the priceless nature within every person we meet. The hidden brilliance, the quiet suffering, the untouched diamond at the center of their being. Tonight, as you reflect on how you've been valuing yourself lately, can you imagine looking at your own life through the master jeweler's eyes? What might shift if you truly recognized that your worth does not hinge on achievement, appearance, productivity, or anyone else's opinion? As the Buddha taught, what we think, we become. When you begin to see yourself as priceless, your actions, your presence, the way you walk through the world, naturally start to express that understanding, revealing the diamond nature that was never hidden, only overlooked. And so, our journey through these teachings comes to a gentle, quiet close. We have walked far together, from acknowledging the subtle frictions of life, to finding the deep peace that comes from letting go. We've explored how suffering arises not from life itself, but from our resistance to its ever-changing flow. We've discovered that beneath the drifting clouds of thought and emotion, the sky of awareness remains clear, open, untouched. We've learned to tune the strings of the heart, finding the middle way of balance, and to water the garden of the mind with the unconditional warmth of loving kindness. And we've realized that we are not separate islands, but waves, each one distinct, each one fleeting, yet all belonging to a single, magnificent ocean of being. Now, let us gently weave all these threads together into one final moment of quiet practice. Find a comfortable position, letting your body settle into stillness. Allow your eyes to close softly, like curtains falling at the end of a peaceful day. Take a slow, deep breath in, and a long, unhurried breath out. Feel your whole body beginning to grow heavy. Supported, held, at rest. Bring your awareness to the simple sensation of the air touching your nostrils. Cool as it enters, warmer as it leaves. Just for now, let this gentle feeling be your anchor. A tiny point of presence in a quiet, spacious world. If thoughts appear, greet them the way you would greet drifting clouds, moving across a vast, open sky. You are the sky, wide, steady, unchanging. The thoughts are only weather passing through. Let them come. Let them go. No resistance. No effort. Now, slowly shift your attention to the center of your chest, to your heart space. Imagine a small, warm light glowing there. Soft at first, like the first flicker of a candle in the dark. With every gentle in-breath, see this light grow just a little brighter, a little steadier, a little warmer. With every long, easy out-breath, feel its warmth spreading through your entire body. Down your arms, across your shoulders, through your belly, into your legs, all the way to the tips of your toes. This light is the radiance of your own innate goodness, your Buddha nature. It has been here all along, waiting only for your quiet attention. Rest in this warmth. Rest in this soft, loving presence that rises from within you. Here, you are safe. You are whole. You are already complete. There is nothing to fix, nothing to chase, nothing to prove. There is nowhere else you need to be. Just this breath, just this moment, just this gentle unfolding of now. Thank you for walking this long, tender path with me, for opening your heart to these teachings, for allowing yourself the gift of peace. Now, simply rest. Let sleep come as softly as a tide returning home. Rest well.
And before we close this journey tonight, I'd like to leave you with a small reflection of my own. As I reflect on this story, what touches me most is how deeply it mirrors the way we value ourselves. So often, we see our work through the eyes of other people, to praise, criticism, expectations, or comparisons. But the truth is, our value doesn't rise or fall because someone notices it. It has always been there. The image of the master jeweler reminds me that only a few people in our lives truly have the clarity to see who we really are. And sometimes, even we forget to look at ourselves with that same clarity. For me, the heart of this teaching is simple. Look at yourself with gentle eyes, not the eyes of the orange merchant, not even the goldsmith, but the eyes of someone who understands your depth. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy. You don't have to achieve anything to feel enough. Your value is not measured by productivity, appearance, status, or anyone's opinion. You were already precious before anyone recognized it. And you will be still precious even if no one sees it clearly. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment with me tonight. Sleep deeply and wake tomorrow a little lighter, a little kinder toward yourself. And if these reflections bring you comfort, you're welcome to stay connected here.